Manchester United prepared to make an offer for MAMADOU Sangare of FC Lens is the breaking story today. Also, we'll look at the story about Manchester United and Elliot Anderson. That price is going to spiral out of control. We've already seen Nottingham Forest turn down 106 plus 15 add-ons. So we're looking at an offer on the table from Man City, which got rejected at over 120 million all in. So it looks like Forest are holding out for 125 and they want the money guaranteed. So Man City are probably going to go back for a third offer. But this does mean that if Man United do want to get Elliot Anderson, they need to hurry up and make a massive offer. But it looks like they're not going to be going down that route. I don't know what people think, but when we're looking at the information this morning, it seems like pretty much like looking at most journalists are now saying Man United are going to walk away from Elliot Anderson and they're not going to be looking at making an offer that sort of price. So again, I'm not saying it's off the table, but it looks like we all thought it was like pretty much very, very unlikely anyway. And most of us think that he's going to go to Man City. It looks like that's going to be confirmed maybe shortly. So Man United move on, and we will look at maybe Matheus Fernandes as well. So you can get comments and questions in on this one. The question and what we're going to be covering today, and I will go through a lot of information regarding Sangare. If you're familiar with the player and you've watched the player, then this is your opportunity to put some comments, post in what you think regarding this player. Is he worth the money? His valuation is approximately 40 to 50 million euros. That's kind of what he's expected to be valued at. So Manchester United will be going for maybe about a 40 offer to start with, but you'd imagine he'd cost a little bit more. So this is kind of roughly what we're looking at in terms of an expected price. If you followed the French league, Lens finished second to PSG this season, only 6 points behind. But Sangare was one of the players which stood out in that team. And this is probably why he's been on the radar of a lot of fans, and maybe not Man United until recently, but a lot of fans have been talking about Sangare for a long time. I know a lot of people will have different favourites they want to see signed. Some people are going to want Tonali still. Some people are going to want Elliot Anderson, whatever the cost. And again, that's absolutely fine. I have got a poll running, and the poll is saying, is it a good option for Man United? Like, should Man United go for Sangare? If this got announced next week as a done deal, would you be happy with this piece of business? It would still mean that Man United are going to be going for a third midfielder, almost like, if we signed Edison, which we have done, and we signed Sangare, almost certainly we're going to be spending more money than both of those players on the third midfielder. And it would be very, very unlikely he's not a Premier League player. That would be my guess. So I'll jump into the chat, and then if anyone's got any questions, though, if you have got questions about Sangare, get them in. If you got any information you want to share as well, get them in. I'll go through what I've read, what I've seen, and we can discuss that. If you are in the channel Discord, I did post a very short video this morning, just under like player scouting. You can look at Sangare if you want to see that as well. So this is why I'm saying that if you watch Sangare, this is your opportunity to share information with the community. Put some posts in there, say, look, this is what I've seen. This is why I think he's a good signing. If you don't think he's a good signing, again, feel free to say why you don't think it's a good signing, if that's your opinion. But no opinion's wrong. Everyone's going to have a different view. But I have got a bit of information on Sangare, which I will share. I'll just go a few at the comments regarding this one. I'll say Jarvis is a big fan of Sangare. I don't know if Jarvis is around. If he is around, then maybe just let him know if he wants to just... I can't get guests on this streaming format, but if he wants to post any comments, he's more than welcome to if he's around. United Side Dyer says Sangare is one of the most up-and-coming midfielders in the world football at the moment. For 40 to 50 million pounds, you're saying this is a bargain. And Mark says if a club came out and said we're not going to, effectively we're not going to pay 120, then 120 million for Anderson. It's a huge price, isn't it? Really huge price. And I was talking about Matheus Fernandes saying that he's a standout player for West Ham. Forest not doing well this season either, and they had Anderson. So again, it's difficult to kind of isolate the player from the team sometimes, but I think with this one, so I'll go through a little bit of the information regarding Sangare, and if you never watched the player, then you can probably find a lot of highlight reels out there. I did post something in the Discord, like I said, you're welcome to look at that. But in terms of Sangare, he's generally operating central midfield, defensive midfield, and in terms of where he excels, that it's in a double pivot, he's absolutely fine. So if Man United are playing 4-2-3-1, we want two players behind Bruno Fernandes. He would be a ideal signing in terms of that's where he plays primarily as well. Physically as well, I think in terms of this one, he does cover a lot of ground. And he is left-footed, which I know Man United have been looking at more left-footed players recently. In terms of like defensive abilities, I think this is where Sangare stands out, and this is what people like about him. It's about how many ball recoveries he makes, and in terms of like, if you wanted to rank Sangare in terms of like what he's good at, defensive capabilities are probably going to be the big one to start with. Positional awareness, very good. Tackles, interceptions, he ranks pretty much in the top percentiles per 90 minutes in Europe. So in terms of if you're looking at a player that's going to be one of the best ball recoverers, so that's something that Ali Anderson is incredibly good at. Sangare is the same sort of player in terms of that regard. He's very mobile, very physical, and ball winning capabilities. That's pretty much where he excels as well. So he does read the game very well and is quite effective at breaking up counterattacks, something which Man United, it is a weakness in our team. We have been easy to play through, so I think Sangare would address that issue as well. So, in terms of like some of the attributes that Anderson's got, Sangare can do. I know it's a different league, so people will have that as a caveat. And again, if you think we need to sign players from the Premier League, then we'll probably have to focus on spending a bit more money. That's going to cost a little bit more. If you're looking at players that are not in the Premier League, I think like Sangare has been talked about regularly on this channel and other channels for quite a few months now as being a good option because he would be cheaper. So it's all about if Man United feel they can afford to go for someone like Fernandes and Alex Scott, maybe that's the route. But maybe they're testing the water now a bit. If we find that Sangare is actually available and the money's significantly cheaper, maybe that actually makes Man United think, okay, like let's have a look at what the best option is available. But this is one where I did say to people quite a lot, no, a while ago that I know a lot of us and a lot of people watching have talked about Sangare, but until now there hasn't really been significant links. So I did say I'll cover the story if I see some media talking about this, and this is the first time I've actually seen it, so this is why we're talking about it today. So I'll go through a bit of the chat, and we can go and have a look at a few more things regarding this as well. But again, this is probably going to divide opinion because I think at the moment everybody wants to sign different players. So it's people have different views on that one. Big up to Jim, who says Edison and Sangare too cheap with no experience in the Premier League. And Jim's saying it's risky. Does the price mitigate this risk? Like, does the fact that Man United has spent £35 million on one player, £40 million on another player, could we be looking at it in a way that if Manchester United got, say, Fernandes from West Ham and that deal cost, I don't know, 75 million, could we have a deal? Could we have a situation where we spend 140, 150, we get our three midfield players in, rather than paying 125 for one, which is probably what Forest are going to be demanding for Elliot Anderson? And would that be a way of then Man United? It could be that Fernandes and Kobe Mainoo is Manchester United's midfield next season, and we have Sangare, we have Edison as being bench options that would maybe it's going to take them a little bit of time to get up to speed to the Premier League. We don't know. I think with Sangare, lots of people think that he's going to be a good signing. A bit like if you look at Cherki and the way Cherki was playing in the French league last season, he looked like someone that's like physical. He's mobile. He's pretty quick. He's the sort of player where when I saw Cherki a year ago, I thought, okay, he's going to be no problem joining Man United or Man City. We're going to see an impact. I think Sangare could be something similar where if he joined another club, I think we'd be looking at him thinking, actually, maybe we should have gone for him. But again, that's because the price might be a lot lower, Jim. I know there's always going to be a bit of a risk, but I think at the moment, if Man United got one Premier League player, then I would look at it and say, I would be a bit surprised, actually. I said this myself. I would be surprised if Man United went for too many non-Premier League players. It just doesn't seem to be something we've done recently, but we'll have to see if that happens. Big up to you, Bilal, in the chat as well. And United Side Die, good to see you guys. And Cody's saying, what fans don't get is if you offer 130 for Anderson, he rejects you. It's bad for us. I mean, 130 million, you're starting to talk about insane money, aren't you? That Elliot Anderson's very good, but 130 million pounds, then it's still one player, isn't it? And it would mean that Man United, effectively at the moment, we could get Fernandes and Sangare, or Fernandes plus. we're starting to get to the stage where actually Matheus Fernandes plus Sangare plus Edison might be the same sort of money as Anderson. So that's actually starting to get ridiculous, isn't it? As well. Also, I think salary demand on these players would be a lot lower. So you'd be looking at Manchester United balancing the books more effectively as well. I'm just saying with this one, if you're looking at things in its entirety, this might mean that Man United have got the money to get Lewis Hall. It might mean that Man United have got the money to get a striker that's going to be something that surprises Man United fans. Like maybe we could go in for a striker that's going to cost decent money. Like who knows? We could be looking at Thiago and thinking about spreading that deal. If you consider that this player effectively could be, if you consider it, like it could be like £80 million cheaper than Anderson. It is ridiculous, isn't it? I'm not going to say he's the same quality player. I wouldn't say that, but I would say that the drop off might not be as much as people think in a year or so's time. I mean, this player is 23. He's got some experience. He's one of the best players in the French league outside PSG, and that's all you can say. Paris Saint-Germain have got an elite level team, and Lens ran them quite close overall. Emsky says inexperienced players plus inexperienced coach, and say you're a bit frustrated by this. I can see that fans are not happy, and to be honest, I would be really hoping that Man United got one of the top Premier League targets. I did actually think that's what we were going to go for, but we'll see what people are thinking as well. So I'll try and get through as many comments as possible. Like I said, always, if you're able to share the stream, then that would definitely help. And click the like as well, like Niche fan did. Please click the like. But what I say is that I'll try and go for as many comments as possible. If I miss your comment, like please just repost something similar, and I'll try and get to it because the chat does move quite quickly as well. Johnny says we can get two Edisons and two Sangares for 120 million. I mean, I think we could get three midfield players. This I'm going to put a positive spin on it, but I have said this as well that I think Man United it'll be disappointing for me if we didn't get someone like Anderson. Like I couldn't pretend I wouldn't be disappointed if Anderson goes to City. It's disappointing because that's what Man United used to do. We used to look around the Premier League and buy the best players. So it's going to be personally a bit frustrating for me if Man United can't do that. But maybe this is something. Maybe this year we can't do that. Maybe in the future we hopefully we can. But again, if we're looking at fixing our team, I do agree with a lot of the points that we got Champions League football next season. We do need to ramp up the experience. We would be testing our squad a lot as well. And BHU Alex says these Premier League proven are usually one good season and the fees are extortionate. So you'd rather get four from abroad for 160, which seems to be about where it is, isn't it? What if Man United did a deal for Buwadi as well? Like if you're looking at getting cheap options, I think that would be for me a bit overkill. Unless we do need to get some experience, like for sure, and maybe Elliot Anderson probably does count as like a couple of years experience. Matheus Fernandes, you'd say like it's based on maybe the last 12 months, isn't it? So that would be one where you've got that year experience. But if you can get a deal for Matheus Fernandes closer to 70, it may be not too bad. But if you're looking at this one, I do agree with Alex that if Man United got the money, you could get Sangare, you could get Bawadi, you could get Edison because Edison has got your experience, and maybe you could get another player involved like Hackney. I'm not saying that's the best approach, but maybe when your team's fixed, when Man United fix the first team, they might have this luxury. Like we could do these sort of deals. So it feels like for me, it's almost like Man United have got to invest heavily now to make sure we get Champions League. I was on United Devil channel last night as a guest, and I said the same thing, and I'll be consistent with this. I think Niche Fan was in the chat there as well. I think with this one that it's going to be personally disappointing if Manchester United don't get the very best in class because that's what they should be aiming at. And there's no reason why we can't get someone like Anderson signed and by someone like Sangare. That the budget should be there, but if Man United choose not to do that, then they have to try and get the very best possible players for the future. That seems to be the route we're going down. The only thing that might change people's minds is when we look at the overall transfer window. If doing some of these deals mean that Man United can go crazy and go for like a maybe more established striker. Maybe we can get a quality left back. Maybe we can like get that left winger as well. Then I think maybe we change our minds. But at the moment, I can see why a lot of people, like myself included, were looking at it thinking, hang on a minute, we were going to be getting Elliot Anderson and we were linked to too many. Okay, too many was unrealistic. And if we see Edison being signed and then Sangare being signed, I can see why people are disappointed because they're not the household names or they're not the players we see lighting up the Premier League, are they? So when you look at the Premier League at the moment, it's a tough competition and a lot of people are thinking that the step up to the Champions League and the step up to the Premier League might be quite big for some of these players. How quickly would they be able to do that? And that's obviously, I think, a genuine question as well. But I think Matheus Fernandes looking really good at West Ham. There's no doubt he's got a bright future. But you're asking quite a lot for someone that's been at Southampton, West Ham, to then throw him into the Champions League. So I think it's going to be a big step up as well. Even for like Mainu, like Mainu's playing for England. He has played in the European competitions as well. But again, it's a big step up to rely on those players because we have lost so much experience with Casemiro. And again, like Mbeumo, Cunha, a lot of players don't have that Champions League experience. It's going to be interesting to see how it works this season. I mean, I hope Man United do actually get some experience overall. I know Edison's got some experience, but then he's not played in the. It's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. We could have a sensible discussion maybe in like a few months' time and see how these signings have worked out. Because I think Edison is definitely one where people are very divided on that one. But I think just have to see. I mean, he's going to play in the World Cup. He's clearly a signing that's it's looking actually quite cheap by comparison, but we'll have to see. Afternoon to you, Kazi. Good to see you. United Dice says, why were people so gassed for Euro? Now Sangare's been talked about. They don't want him. I don't know. Maybe it's different people. It could be different people that with Euro, I think there was a lot of excitement about Euro, and Euro is still only 20. So again, you sign a player that's very young. You can look at that and say, well, yeah, they're going to be looking at improving, aren't they? So I think with Euro, maybe Euro played too many matches to start with, and this is kind of why I do agree. Actually, if Man United are going to go for Sangare, and we've already got Edison, if we then went for another non-Premier League player, you start looking at it and thinking, are we going to see the same situation we saw with Florian Wirtz, where you got a player coming in, no matter what they've done in the previous league, the Premier League's a bit different. So I would be looking at it thinking, if you sign three midfielders, one's got to be Premier League. Like, surely you've got to have that some link to the Premier League. Yali says, look at City, Sabinho, Reindeers, Diaz, Holland. Yeah, a lot of players here. I would say with this one, if you're looking at like City's transfer window in January was Premier League though, wasn't it? So City have gone for, I think maybe with City you got a mix. So City, Holland was like, I mean, Holland's world class, isn't he? You drop him into any team, he's going to bag crazy amount of goals. But no, with City, maybe City went, if you look at the January transfer window, they went very, very safe. You get Mark Gahey, you get Semenyo, two informed players in Premier League teams. So they went quite safe. They're going for Eddie Anderson. Now, City have obviously got a big budget. They're going for Anderson this summer, so they're playing it quite safe. And maybe they're looking at that. I mean, I think Turkey's a really good signing because it's quite cheap. I think obviously like some of those players as well have been good signings. But I think Man United, like we don't have the luxury of time, do we? If we drop out the Champions League, it's going to cause us big problems, like financial big problems. So I said last night on United Devil Channel that I think it's a risk to sign a lot of players that are potentially going to be better in the future, where players are going to be like say 20, 21, 22. Because if Man United drop out of the Champions League, that's going to cause a massive problem, isn't it? Massive problem. And so by this logic, it's really tricky, isn't it? I think if you're looking at signing players, you need a mix, don't you? You want to have some players. You need a few players that are established, don't you? Like if you're looking at building for the future, we've seen Chelsea. If you sign nothing but players that are 2021, then you're continually building for the future. I think Man United do need a couple more experienced players, and if we got Edison, you got the experience, but he hasn't played in the Premier League. I'm just surprised we aren't going for somebody that has got experience and played in the Premier League just as one signing. It doesn't have to be all three, but it could be like one of them. Daz says, I want a midfield that works. So it can cost that. Yeah, like Daz, for me, I agree with this. if the midfield works, and if you can get a midfield that works and it costs, I don't know, say you get Sangare, say you've already got Mainu, haven't you? And say you get Edison's done, and you get Matheus Fernandes, or you get Alex Scott, or you get Angelo Stiller, and there's three different players there, and you could if that's our signings, and if we do go for Sangare, I'm not sure if will, but if we did end up with Sangare, it might just be that Man United make an offer that's not accepted, and then we go, okay, actually we test the water and we go, right, let's go back to someone like Matheus Fernandes or go to Alex Scott. This could be just speculative, and again, Man United are linked to so many players. I wouldn't get too crazy excited. We don't know what's going to happen. And maybe they can then look at it and go, because to me, if we sign three midfield players and we've got Edison 35, we've got Sangare 40, and we've got Matheus Fernandes 70. So just say those are the prices. You're looking at 145 million, three midfielders, and if it works, brilliant. If we have a situation where we think, if only we spent a bit more and it functions a lot better, then that for me would be where we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot. If Man United bought, say, Elliot Anderson, 100%, he's going to be the best option in my opinion. Could Man United get Anderson plus Sangare plus Edison? I would say financially probably, because you're looking at about 125, 160 if you include Edison. About 200 million pounds would get you those three players, and for me, that's actually not too bad. I know that's going to be on the expensive side, but Man United could buy three players, including Elliot Anderson, for that 125. It looks like Anderson's off the table, but we don't know what's going to happen either. United So Dice says people were crying out for a Casemiro replacement. Now you have it in Sangare, yet people are flipping to Premier League proven. Um, So yeah, big up to you, Gregory. Gregory says you don't think that Sangare's. I think with all these stories, because I've probably talked about. I'm thinking how would you phrase it? If we talk about 10 midfield players over a few weeks, I think most of it, like you're not going to sign all of them, are you? That you're not going to sign every single one of those players. Big up to you, JSN. Malp says who's replacing Casemiro? That's what everyone wants to know. So that's why people are saying like, is Sangare a Casemiro replacement? So I'll just quickly go through like what is Sangare good at? I'll just quickly go through some of the scouting reports again. Elite recovery, winning the ball back, elite in Europe, then that would be something that matches probably what Casemiro has done. I would say the difference is going to be that with Sangare, he is more mobile, so you may be comparing it a bit more to Elliot Anderson in terms of winning the ball back. But tackles, interceptions, recoveries, he's elite at that. That's basically what his strength is. In terms of like on the ball, because that's going to be something that Man United like. It's one thing having players like Agate that are good defensively, but you've got to be more than that for a Man United player. And progressive play for Sangare, he is good at carrying the ball. Like people love the phrase tight spaces, but in terms of doing that, he is good in that sort of environment. Something that Maine is very good. Carrying the ball between defence and midfield. Something also that Maine is very good at is another attribute. So in terms of like a double pivot, Sangare Mainu might be actually quite good. Like if you look at some of the attributes defensively, in terms of shielding the back four, tackles, interceptions, all that sort of all the things that Eddie Anderson's good at off the ball. Sangare has been doing that for Lons. The only thing is like it's not the Premier League, so people might have an issue with that. But if you're looking at what he's doing, he can't do any more than what he's doing for Lons at the moment. Like he's having a very good season. Lons finished second in the league, so he can't do any more personally. It's just about for him. I think for Sangare, it's about stepping up to the next level. He's proved himself in France. He's proved himself at Lons. He's in the spotlight because of performances, individual performances, but also he's elevated the team. The team has actually finished second, so it's going to get Champions League football. And maybe Sangare is considered by a few people as quite a cheap option at the moment. If he plays well in the Champions League, you can just start adding numbers to that price tag, can't you? So this is kind of like potentially a bit like a Cherki situation where Cherki was available quite young. I think Cherki was like 21, wasn't he, when he got signed by Man City? you look at the potential, but also you look at what he's doing already. I think Cherky had loads of assists and goals and was a very dangerous player. And we saw firsthand what he could do at Man United. So I think with some of these players, it feels like I'm always like saying this on the channel that you have to look at what's the potential risk. The potential risk with this is that it just, maybe it takes him a bit of time to get used to the Premier League, but he's so quick, so physical. He does so much on the football field that it feels like it's going to be difficult to see him not being effective. The question is going to be how quick can he get to that level? How quickly can he do that in the Premier League? Which is again something where it's impossible to say because I've seen players come from a different league, hit the ground running. I think Cherky did that. I would say the French league for me is maybe better in terms of if you're looking at player adapting from a different league. I think the French league to the Premier League has actually worked pretty well for a few players, and it depends on the sort of players as well. But I think Sangare, he's 23, he's not as rusty as some players, so I think there's going to be. Say Cody says if it's so simple as getting Sangare, and why not City in for him? I think there's just a lot of players, isn't there? There's a lot of football players there. So again, say if you're looking at Sangare, you're saying we need established midfields, then I think with City, like City is spending big, aren't they? City are in the situation where I think City want to win the Premier League next season. Like that's their aim, isn't it? Man United are looking at something a bit more sustainable. We need to buy more football players than Man City. That's probably the bottom line as well. So if Eddie Anderson wanted to join Man United and Man United saw that that was a good deal, that maybe we'd be going for that one. But the price of 125, I don't. Did anyone actually think Anderson would cost genuinely 125? Like, and Matheus Fernandes cost nearly 80. I think the prices have been a bit surprising, and maybe that's the problem here as well. I say there was a story. I think this one, yeah, I saw this story, and I think Jim sent me the story as well. And that Man United have looked at Edison for about 2 years, so I'm not sure Edison's going to be the. I don't think Edison's going to be the like a like for like replacement, but I don't know. I'm going to be open minded as well. A big up to you, Bilal. I didn't for some reason that didn't pop up on my screen. I have been like I minimized the screen because I minimized the screen because I was actually reading like some scouting reports. So big up to you, Bilal. Thank you so much for the super chat. There will be a World Cup watch along tonight. There's going to be like the opening ceremony, build up, etc. So there will be something tonight. G will be hosting again. Potentially like extra guests. I don't know. Last night was a late stream because it was a delayed kickoff. But people watching World Cup action, there will be a World Cup watch along tonight. I'm not sure exactly the start time. It might be a bit early because there's going to be like a big opening ceremony, I'm sure. But now big up to you, Bilal. Sorry I missed that. I just closed this window. I was reading like some of the information regarding Sangare. Again, I'll just reiterate. I'm not saying Sangare is a better option, or I'm not saying that I'm thinking great. We're going to move for Sangare. I just think with this one, you have to look at it and say that if Man United did sign Sangare, would it be like an effective signing? I think for the price, like if we're looking at it in like 4 or 5 years' time, best case scenario is Sangari is, like a £70 million player, £80 million player, and we've got him for a cheap price. And also his contract, his salary is probably going to be very low in comparison to some of the players we're looking at. If you consider Tonali might want 200, 250, I think you're looking at Sangari is going to be more like Kobe Manu money. So you're looking at significantly lower. It makes sense. Worst case scenario, you probably sell him for like similar money. He's been excellent in the French league, so you probably get your money back, if not make a profit. If he does okay, he'll probably do quite well in Europe, I'd imagine, because the games can be a bit slower. So no, I'm not too worried about this one, but I'm not going to say it is crazy. So Edison's replacement, says Alex. It might be. I mean, I'm kind of open minded because I don't know who's going to be 100%, 100%. Yeah, they won't be happening, to be honest. Um, so let's go through a few of the comments. Um, no, we haven't seen that. Are City buying players a little bit? Do you remember when Chelsea got a transfer ban? Are they doing the same sort of thing? Maybe, I don't know. There is a possibility regarding that one. Big up to you, Rob. good to see you in the chat. I had to go a bit earlier today because like people visiting. Big up to you, Clive, as well. So I've got a poll running, and I did say to people, this is kind of an open stream where if you don't think Sangare is a good signing, you're absolutely free to say so. If you think he's very good, absolutely free to say so. But I thought I'll do a vote because then I can, at the end of the stream, I can look at it and say, what do people think? What is people's opinion on this one? Are people happy? I mean, are people disappointed? I think a lot of people just want to see signings that they're guaranteed like to work, aren't they? Which is difficult because how many signings are guaranteed to work? Corinne says we need passing. Anderson and Fernandez were in a tier of their own when it came to that. I mean, I would say this one that at the moment, as far as I'm aware, and I haven't seen like significant developments. As far as I'm aware, Man United are still the front runners for Fernandez, and despite the agent talk and despite there's interest from PSG and Real Madrid, Manchester United are still leading that race. They're still um, poised to make an offer. I don't know if we're going to see something happen relatively soon. I hope so because that would be quite positive to see. It'd be nice to see Man United actually get another player signed, and if we could be looking at some of these, it would be at least quicker business than we are seeing, and maybe Man United fans would be pleasantly surprised by potentially potentially seeing like Man United move for a decent left back as well. Maybe with a. I was saying that for me, if Man United are doing these sort of deals this year, because Man United have got owners that have messed up. Like we've run the club badly for a long time. Like this is kind of the backstory, isn't it? So we don't talk about it every single stream, but Manchester United have been run really badly for a long time. So it's going to take a bit of time to get things back how they used to be, and maybe it's going to mean that in maybe the next year or two, some of the transfers we won't be able to blow City out the water like we used to, but maybe like if we can get another, if we can stay, this is kind of what I said last night. If Man United can guarantee they're in the Champions League year after year after year, which is what we should be doing, that's why I would say. That's why I said last night: spend the money on Anderson, spend the money on Matheus Fernandez. Like if you can afford a left back, get that deal done as well, and maybe go a bit crazy initially, like short term, spend a huge amount of money, but spend it in a way which almost guarantees Champions League football. I think Man United have got the ability to guarantee Champions League football with these signings. And if you get those signings in, then they'll pay for themselves. Like Champions League participation brings that money in and it pays for those transfers. Like if you're in the Champions League every single season and you're in a title race, you're going to be bringing in the money, which pays for those deals. The finances will sort themselves out, but also you can go into the transfer market. Up and coming players, the best players available, will look at Manchester United as a serious team, and they will want to join Man United. So, getting this right this season and next season, it's just going to have a knock-on effect that players will look at Man United differently and see us as a serious team. And for some players, they're probably looking at where can they go to win the league. And yeah, if Sangare is like one of those players that does help Man United cement Champions League football, I don't know if he is. Like, I honestly do not know. But if he does come in and thrives, and if Man United build a team that's going to be very consistent, at least, like we can't finish outside the Champions League. That would be financially a massive problem, and we've got to make sure that we're in the mix as like when other teams drop off, because teams do drop off and teams do have to rebuild, then we need to be in a position to strike for the Premier League title. And I think United need to go bold, like go big. Like I think Sangare is a good signing, but it's not really. For me, it's not enough. Man United need to make sure they get consistent quality across the whole squad. It's going to be very expensive, though, isn't it? How long was the delay for ending the game? I think it's about an hour. I think it was about an hour, wasn't it? Niche fans saying this is borderline fraudulent. Are you saying that in terms of like information put out as well? Big up to you, Jay says we can't afford Anderson. That's the problem. So one thing that's really difficult to say is that when we see the transfer window play out, and when we're looking at with Manchester United, what players we've signed, then if we end up spending 250 to 300 million, which I think is what a lot of people think, if we actually end up addressing lots and lots of areas of our team, because everybody sat here thinking that if you think Sangare is a good player, or you think it's a disappointing signing, the one thing you can look at is going, okay, he is considerably cheaper. So you could see with this one, if Man United got Sangare and Edison, there wouldn't be much excuse not to get a left back, would there? There wouldn't be much excuse not to get some attacking backup options as well. So the expectation's got to be quite high. I think Man United are expected to spend about 250. I'd be guessing 200 to 250 plus whatever we get in sales. So I think this is the one year where we can get significant money in sales, like significant money. You got the Rasmus Højlund money already in. You got Agate, you got Xerxes. Those three players combined, we could be looking at £100 million of sales. So maybe potentially Man United are looking at 300, 350. So does that mean that Man United could get Anderson? I think we could get Anderson, but I do think financially we could get him. I'm just wondering what the reason is that why we're not going for it. It doesn't like for me. It seems a bit stupid to, or what's the point in Man United? Whether they've said it or they've been misquoted, what's the point in saying this is our top target? We can afford to meet any demands he's got. If you're not even going to get that player, it's yeah. Jay says we need to move on from Anderson, and there's still a lot of quality midfielders out there. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think with this one, it's disappointing though, isn't it? Because for me, I said about 18 months ago, Anderson was my top target. I've not changed my opinion on that one. But again, if it doesn't happen, it does not happen. Big up to United Strand. You're based in, from what I can remember, you're based just outside Paris, aren't you? So you must have watched. I'm guessing. I don't know if you're a fan of the French league or you watch a lot of the French football, but if you got some thoughts and opinions on Sangare, then please get them in. This is what I was going to. This is what I said at the start of the stream. And I said I don't want to be a spokesperson or a campaign for the Sangare option and say this is why we should sign him. I'm just trying to put what's been put out there as well. And I think you're backing up what I was saying earlier, saying that Manchester United and scouts and other people's opinions are pretty much saying that if you forget about Paris Saint-Germain, they've got a world class team. We know that. Outside of PSG, Sangare is considered like very, very top tier. Like he's considered pretty much that if Paris Saint Germain are looking to raid the league and get the best players to replace them like Vitinha, Neves, they're looking at players like Sangare. Like he's that level, but he's not playing at PSG. And Lens finished second in the league. And United Strand is saying the same sort of thing. In your opinion, you're saying second best midfielder after Vitinha. Very high praise indeed. He's top quality, and maybe we should have got Vitinha a few years ago when he was available. So we need to be making these sort of signings. So again, please vote in that one as well. So Sangare is the next up and coming star of France. You do these deals, says Outside Die. So again, if you got some negative comments, get them in just for balance, just so we can see. And so the only replacement for Casemiro is Tonali and Tchouaméni. I think Tchouaméni's off the table, isn't he? Like Tchouaméni's going to stay in Madrid. To be honest, actually, Tchouaméni and Anderson were my top two signings. If you said, Rich, you got unlimited money, buy some players, I'd be going right. If I was on Championship Manager, whatever, you go right, get Tchouaméni in, get Anderson in. They're literally no brainers, aren't they? They fix midfield, and midfield's world class. So I've got those players in. Then I think with Tonali, I think Tonali is a difficult one, and I think it's the price. I think it's just come down to price where Tonali's about what 25, 26. He's going to be wanting a big salary. It's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. So Turkey costs. Yeah, I wanted Turkey. I know that some fans didn't like him because of what he was doing, but I think Turkey would have been that player, isn't he? United Strand says, let's see, Sangare will be £100 million player in 3 seasons. His displays for Lens have been outstanding. So again, I would say whatever I've seen, like anyone that's talked about Sangare, and I've said this myself, like, I don't watch the French league too much, but I have been given information by if people watch Tactical Devils Jarvis, he sent me some information on Sangare going back a few months ago now. So this is one of those players where he's been on the radar of fans for a long time, and this is kind of the first day actually seen significant information saying that Man United are interested, considering like there's no doubt though that Man United have been looking at all these players behind the scenes, like whether it's Bawadi, whether it's Sangare, whether it's Kamara as well. I think Kamara could be the other player that people talk about. I'm not sure how much he would cost. And these players have been talked about by fans for ages, and a lot of fans have been, you know how we looked at Sen Lamens last season, and he cost £80 million and was a lot cheaper than other players and worked out better. This would be that if Sangare is going to be regarded as a great signing in 12 months' time, then that would be kind of what would happen. Like if he comes into the Premier League, I'm guessing based on a few comments, people are going to be a little bit skeptical because he's not been playing in the Premier League. But maybe like Sen Lamens, maybe we would change our minds in 12 months' time and go, actually, that was a really good signing. So I think that the upside is definitely very high. Potential downsides, it feels a bit limited because I can't see it being a problem. If a player costs 40, 45 million euros, I can't see it being an issue, to be honest. And Jim says you don't think the price of Anderson made United go away. It's because Forest wanted 120 up front. Yeah, most teams genuinely paying for installments, don't they? So when Man United, do you remember when Man United sold? I think it was who did we sold Lukaku to Inter, and we didn't get the money up front. We got the money in installments, and I think most clubs tend to pay for money in installments, particularly after COVID when financial issues happened for a few places. So what big up to Sky in the chat as well, who said, "What is his wages?" Because someone's put a comment in saying that they think his wages is about 38 million euros a week. I think one thing that's going to be clear is that the salaries in the French league are going to be significantly lower. So when you're looking at it, it's going to be significantly lower. So if you're looking at a deal, this is kind of the sort of deal that Brighton would do. And I know people would go, right, we're not Brighton. Yeah, we're not Brighton. I know that we're not Brighton. But the difference is though that with Man United, Brighton might sign this sort of player, but then Brighton would cash in. If Man United sign a player and he works out, we intend to keep that player and build around them. So Brighton are getting good deals, but Brighton are effectively a buying and selling club. And you could see like maybe Bournemouth are the same, but with a nicer style of football and maybe a bit more success recently. But Brighton and Bournemouth do effectively the same thing. They scout very well, they sell high, and they keep repeating the process. And at the moment, it's working out for those two clubs. But if Man United buy well, the player starts thriving. We don't need to sell, do we? So we don't have to do what Brighton do and then sell these players at a profit. We just keep these players in our team and we build around them. Like we can still spend the big money on other players. It's not gonna hamper us. We still have more budget than this as well. Um, Niche fans saying, yeah, I think some of the information coming out from Man United is not helpful, is it? Like Jim Radcliffe, I mean, he just shouldn't really put out any sort of media, should he? Because there's no point in putting out information saying you want somebody and then have no intention of getting them, do you? Rob says it sounds like a good deal. United Strand saying whoever gets Sangari this summer will be all the richer for it. Do you remember last season when we talked about Turkey? Everybody looked at Turkey as like you've got to get that deal done because he's so cheap for the quality he is. Would I take Camavinga as a squad rotation player if Fernandez goes to Madrid? I think with this one, I think Camavinga is the player that, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Camavinga have some injury issues? And I think Camavinga is, yeah, if Real Madrid are pushing out Camavinga, for me, that's like a massive red flag. Like Real Madrid do not push out a good player. So I would say, yeah, if Real Madrid push out Camavinga, I would walk away from that. I don't think Camavinga is going to be like, why should we help Real Madrid get Matheus Fernandes by taking Camavinga off their hands if they don't want him? So, um, Culture Spot says, I think we should pay £70 million or a bit more for Fernandes, then look at Sangari, Scott, or Belieber. Yeah, too many looks impossible. I think too many isn't going to leave Madrid, is he? He doesn't want to leave. Tonali looks expensive. I think also with Tonali, it's not about resale value for me. With Tonali, it's about if you spend £100 million and then at the end of that contract that you need to replace the player because he's in his 30s. For me, that's not good, is it? And if we're looking at all the players we're looking at the moment, you give them a 5-year contract. they're still going to be getting another contract, aren't they? Or they're going to be sold. I'm not saying they would be sold, but they could be and replaced, or they could still be effective for another contract. I think with Matheus Fernandes, I don't really mind £70 million for Fernandes. I think 70, 75. You might look at doing that. I think West Ham need the money up front, so you could say 70 plus five, couldn't you? And maybe that's going to be okay, or 65 plus 10 or 12. That yeah, I think there's a deal to be done there because Matheus Fernandes apparently wants Man United, and that money is a good profit for West Ham. And given like Anderson's going to be 125, 70 for Fernandes is not bad, is it? If you're looking at £55 million cheaper than Eddie Anderson, it's not a bad deal. I mean, you can get. I know the way that people look at it. You can get Sangare and Fernandes, and maybe Man United. Maybe Man United do actually have the budget to try and get Alex Scott or Belieber plus Fernandes. That could be the route they go as well. It could just be that this is just a find out the price thing. I actually hope it's a shame that we're not seeing and Man United actually make an offer. Because if Man United make an offer for one of these players, we'd actually see, how much these players are genuinely going to cost as well. And so if Camavinga's not starting every game at Madrid, then he's worth 30 to 40. I think Camavinga, I would just not trust Real Madrid. If Real Madrid are going to let a player go, I would be not interested at all. United Strand, big up to United Strand for the information today. Says we can up that to 75 a week. If you think about it, then if you're looking at, say, Edison coming in from Atalanta, rumoured to be on about 75k a week, potentially a bit more, then Man United, if he's on like that sort of salary, there's no doubt Man United could double that salary and it would be comfortable within our wage structure, wouldn't it? You could, if you get a 5-year deal with a player that's going to be on, maybe it's going to be on 100k with a Champions League bonus, so it could be 75k plus 25 for Champions League. It could be quite a good deal, couldn't it? And worst case scenario is like a lot of Premier League clubs now are paying about 100k a week, so it wouldn't be a problem as well. Big up to you, Scott. Good to see you in the chat, my friend. So, as I said, if you got some thoughts and comments and questions, this is your forum to put them out there. Let me know what you're thinking. So, Sangari signed 5-year contract that launches until 2030. So that must be like a similar contract to Tonali, but I don't know how much he cost them. But for me, that's like Lons are going to make a profit, aren't they? And maybe it's going to be 40 to 50 that's going to get that deal done as well. Genghis says you've seen a short comp of Sangari, looks okay. Yeah, very athletic. So he is left-footed. I mean, I'm slightly biased towards left-footed players because I'm left-footed myself. But to be honest, Man United are looking to try and get the balance right in the team of left-footed to right-footed players. So again, but I think the main thing is going to be that he's going to be very athletic. That's something Man United are looking at, trying to get athletic ball winners. If you look at this regarding this one, then one of the things that Man United were quite good at last season is I think we won the most of our duels in the Premier League. So winning the second balls, that's going to be key. Like Michael Carrick's style, as people are asking about that, it is a bit quicker than some teams. But in terms of like transition, Man United do attack very quickly. It is a bit risky sometimes, and we will concede possession maybe more than some teams. But with this in mind, the speed of the attack is where Man United's strength lies. Like Bruno Fernandes and say Dorgu, Cunha, and Bremo, the people and Amajolo, the people that attack, we do it with speed and directness, and that does lead to good chances. We created loads of chances towards the end of the season. Something that other teams are more careful. Arsenal are more careful, and with Arsenal they have a bit slower way of playing, and Man United is a bit more attack minded, a bit quicker, but it is a bit risky. And I think with Man United's style at the moment, maybe someone like Sangare, because he is actually he's good at carrying the ball, but he is, and actually one of the other attributes as well that Alex, I've read this morning as well, is that Sangare's actually got some pretty good diagonal balls, some pretty good shift of position on the pitch as well. So in terms of like shifting the play, Sangare does have that passing range. If you're looking at sort of player profiles and you're comparing different players, Matheus Fernandes very good long balls, diagonals. You look at Sangare, he's got that as well. So there is a bit of similarities between some of these players we're looking at as well. Um, Scott says that you asked a question earlier, Scott, about what happened to Premier League proven. Um, yeah, I do not know. I don't because I've said this for a long time that most of the stories put out there in the media, and like JB and myself and everybody that's reading the stories, they keep saying, don't they? They kept saying Man United are going to be prioritizing Premier League experience. We all read that, we've all seen it, and yeah, if we look at the transfers coming in, and they haven't played in the Premier League, then what can we say? The only thing I can think of is are Man United deliberately misdirecting people? Are they deliberately putting out information that's not true? That do we genuinely know what Man United's top targets are? That if we had a conversation and so 8 million was a bargain, wasn't it? So 8 million, it might cost more than I don't know how much it would end up costing. But if we had a conversation a month ago and I said, right, who are Man United's top targets? We'd have probably been saying Elliot Anderson, Tchouameni, and Tonali because like Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio Romano, or trying to think who else has been. Who else would you look at? Maybe Ornstein, Andy Mitten, anyone that's like talking about players was saying Eddie Anderson is going to be the primary target, or Man United really love too many, but they think it's going to be difficult. Everybody was saying the same things. Like they were saying the same things. It was Premier League proven or too many. You got Anderson, Tonali, and you got too many, and these are the players that were talked about for weeks. So all I can say is that like from information I've seen, like then I don't know why there's suddenly a pivot unless Man United either Man United feel like the deals to get Premier League players are too expensive, or this was part of the plan all along. I'm saying Sangari can shoot, and so it's been a while since we had someone with a decent long shot. So yeah, I mean when does Scholes retire? I'm trying to think who else. Bruno Fernandes used to like score a few goals from distance, but it's yeah. And I do agree with Niche that maybe with this one, if we're talking about, I think today we're talking about Man United make an offer about 40 million. Okay, the valuation is going to be 40 to 50 million euros. You make an offer about 40 million pounds, something like that. It's kind of similar to Agate money, and that could be a starting point. If we're having a conversation about that sort of price, then the poll at the moment, I'm not sure the percentage is on, but I'll probably close that so we can talk about it. But if Man United end up paying about 40, 45, then at the moment, 54% of people are voting for that being a good deal. Okay, so that's like kind of 50-50. So I'm not surprised that this is going to be really, really divided. Like it's going to be really divided. Big up to you, Danny B, in the chat. I was hoping you were around. I've had to start a bit earlier today, and the stream started at 12 instead of 1 p.m. UK time. But I was kind of hoping you'd be in the chat because I know when I saw the news, I thought I hope Danny B's around because people don't know Irish Pit Terrier is Danny B. He's been a massive fan of Sangare, I think, since I've known Danny, and we talked about this like Bawadi, Sangare. We look at these players, we rate them, but Man United have never really been at the table. I think for me, I always wanted Man United to go for some Premier League proven quality players plus some of these up and coming targets. And ideally, Man United need to get both. Like we need to get the Andersons of this world. We need to get the Sangares, the Buadis of this world as well. And ideally, Man United we need to get a good first 11 of players that are almost guaranteed to get Champions League football to get us into a title race. And then we need to add like the Buadis of this world and the Sangaris of this world to our squad that are going to be the future of the club. But again, I think there's a lot expected. If you drop Sangari into midfield next season and if he's going to be starting a lot of games, there's a big step up at Man United. Like not just the pressure, the Premier League, Champions League expectations of the club. It's going to be like a lot of pressure situation. So I've always said that for me, if Man United can get that Premier League experience as well, that's going to be someone that's like been there, done that in the Premier League, and get a blend of Champions League experience if possible. It feels like maybe I'm asking the impossible. Maybe I'm looking for like an Ellie Anderson that's already played like 4 or 5 Champions League seasons, and maybe that player's not available. And the one player that is that age and has played in the Champions League, Tonali, then I'm not sure that Tonali's worth the money. So it's crazy, isn't it? I think the valuation at the moment is a little bit. Yeah, I don't think people know exactly how much he would cost because some of these players you see a valuation. You can look at valuations online and they will suddenly like shoot up when there's demand. It is definitely like a supply and demand type thing, isn't it? But I think a lot of people were expecting potentially like a valuation of maybe like 50 million euros, maybe 40 million pounds. I'm guessing that might push up a little bit based on like the transfer window. So um, again, we don't know exactly how much it would cost. We'll have to see. I mean, they finished second in the French league, didn't they? So we're looking at a player that's on the up. So I mean, so the French league midfielders do well in the Premier League, says Bilal. I think it's like a good league. If you think about some of the players that came in, like we've seen players come in for the French league. Actually, Baliba had a very good season when he first joined Brighton. Few issues, but you could say that he'll be a good player in the future if he moves somewhere else. So he won League One, so what of the year with Lens, better than Enrique. Oh, is this like the manager below? Say best African player in League One, better than Camera, better than Hakimi, which is like esteemed company as well. So again, like I say, nothing but positives in terms of what people say regarding Sangare, but there's nothing more that Sangare can do apart from what he does in the French league. If Sangare did the same sort of thing in the Premier League, we're probably adding like 20 million on top of this price at least, aren't we? Sky says 60 million. So 60 million tops for you, like 60 million. Again, I mean, 60 million sounds a lot, doesn't it? It sounds a lot. So like 45 to 55 million euros. I think, yeah, if you're looking at in euros, maybe 50 to 60 million euros. In pounds, I don't know, maybe 50. If you consider that Fred cost 50 million pounds, when did we buy Fred? It feels like a long time ago, like 6, 7 years ago, we bought Fred for 50 million pounds. It could be the same sort of money. I mean, this could be the same sort of money as Agate, but for me, a much, much better investment than Agate. So again, this is one where the good thing about doing streams and doing live streams is we will have a snapshot as well. Sources on this one, this is coming from, I think there's some Paris related media sources. So if you look at the sources, like it's coming from the French league itself. So I think when you're looking at some of the information again, like Danny, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think Man United are definitely looking at so many different players that there will be interest there. If Man United are preparing a bid, I just hope they put something in soon because that would be, you know, good to see as well. But I think one of the things that at the moment is I found last season that when we're looking at I think we were looking at Benjamin Sesko, and the best sources then were coming out from Germany. And when you're looking at this story, the fact the sources are coming from Paris-based journalists as well, I think is quite promising to start with. And we saw that with the Edison deal, it was Italian-based sources, and Tonali, obviously Tonali's Italian, but Edison was playing in Serie A. So I think at the moment it's coming from that source. We'd have to see. Again, like, I don't want to get your hopes up, Danny, or I don't want to disappoint people that don't want him either way. But I think this is going to be, yeah, very interesting one as well. Um, Bilal says you pay 65. Say 60 is insane. Yeah, no, at the moment, I agree with like what a lot of people are saying that people can have different views. At the moment, then the poll in the chat, we're kind of basing it on like about a 40 million pound or 40 million, 50 million pound sort of price tag. So again, if you want to vote, I'm going to close the vote in just a couple of minutes to take a snapshot of what people think. At the moment, it's 54% say it's a good deal, 46% say not a good deal. So um, pretty close to 50-50, isn't it? No one's going to be completely happy, I guess. Maybe actually, it's a shame that we don't have like. It feels a bit frustrating. Things take a bit of time, but can you imagine, like in a month's time or 2 months' time, we might be looking at this one. Andy says, "See, we miss out on Nathaniel Brown. Is there a Nathaniel Brown update? The problem is there's so many players we're linked to at the moment. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to to look at that, isn't it? And it's really difficult to see, what players are going to be Man United signing. And what we need to look at is potentially what's going to happen is over the next couple of weeks we're going to get, we're going to get people get signed by other players, and then gradually it's going to be a bit quicker, isn't it? We're going to find out things. Be up to you, Sky. I appreciate that. There will be slightly less streams for a few days, but then we will kick back up next season. So next week. Is signing Sangare a good move for Manchester United? So yes, say 54%. No, say 46%. And say starting in January, say FIFA's updated rules require. I did see this actually. Let me just comment on this as well. I did see this, and this is actually quite big news as well. I did see something this morning, so I'm just going to find Yari's comment. So Scott's saying, so is he one of those players that needs snapping up before he goes to top club and sees his value rocket to 80 to 90 million? So Scott, a lot of people think he is. A lot of people are thinking they should be looking at this sort of deal. So let me find it where it is. Have you got the yeah, this is something that's going to happen maybe very soon, and it is quite big news. If you look at a lot of transfers, and we do that on the channel on a daily basis, then FIFA are going to change the rules where it looks like they're going to have mandatory release clauses in every professional player contract. Now, the difficulty with this is that there are some leagues already where you do have mandatory release clauses. I believe that it's probably, is it Spain and Portugal that those leagues have release clauses for every single player? What we tend to see in that environment is the release clauses tend to be put at very high value. So I think FIFA are looking at this, thinking that if a player is under contract for 4 or 5 years, you put a release clause in that player's contract, and then what you're looking at is Manchester United. Okay, we want to say we want to buy, say we want to buy Angela Stiller, and it's got a release clause of like 35 million. Stuttgart are going to change that and potentially could raise it. Also, if Man United wanted to buy Sangare and he's got a release clause, we can pay it and just get the deal done. I think that the difficulty is going to be if you put a mandatory release clause in. If Man United sign Sangare and we've got to put a release clause in, we just put a very high release clause in, don't we? Like, so is it going to improve it or not? I don't know, because one of the things as well, if you're a team with not much budget and you take a risk and you get a player in and that player develops incredibly well, are you then going to have your best players raided and you're not going to get much money from it? So I don't know. It's potentially like a big rule, but I can see it causing problems. Well, I can see teams finding ways around it. But Real Madrid, I believe, have a release clause of like 1 billion for every single player, don't they? So it's it's very difficult. So you can put a release clause in there, but like say Harm would be like 400 million, yeah. But then PSG could say here's 400 million, couldn't they? And you get it. So maybe you put 1 billion in. Like I think doesn't Vinicius Junior and Mbappe have a 1 billion release clause or something? So I don't know. It could work. It could be farcical. I don't know. Either way, say Atletico have 500 million on one of their players. Yeah, now, I've seen this. That if you look at the release clauses for any player, any Sporting Lisbon player, Man United was linked with over the last 12 months. When you look at the release clause is always insane. It's always like you look at it and go, Hillman, 87 million. You think there's no way we're paying 87 million for him. And you look at other players, and it is because the release clause they have to put one in, so they just go high. They go really, really high. Let's have a look at this one as well. And Valverde has one of 1.1 billion. Exactly, Scott. Exactly. The release clauses are absolutely crazy, aren't they? So it might be like that. That's what I'm saying. The release clauses in the might if you force players to have release clauses in, you're going to put very high ones in. Big up to you, Gaz. I started a bit earlier today because I've got family visiting. I'm just gonna carry on the live until the doorbell rings effectively. So if you've got comments and questions in, please get them in. I don't know how long we're going to stream for, but I'm set up. I'm good to go. So we'll just carry on with how it's going. Yeah, saying having release clauses doesn't mean anything, does it? If Man United just go right, here's like crazy, crazy release, just put a very high figure in every single player, and then the release clauses then become pointless. Because it would be a bit disappointing to have really. But I'd be disappointed if Man United were forced to put release clauses in because then if one of your players, if you buy, let's say we got Aiden Heaven for 1 million, and they put a release clause of 10 million, 10 million, that's 10 times what you paid for him. But there's no way we're selling Aiden Heaven, like no way. So again, I don't know, I don't know. Yeah, I like Valverde. Yeah, but he's never going to leave Real Madrid, is he? So I think we kind of moved on from that one as well. I mean, the idea that maybe the last player that had a decent release clause might be Matheus Cunha. Like Matheus Cunha had the release clause of 62 million, didn't he? Something like that. I think Semenyo's release clause of 65. These release clauses were put in with an idea of just deciding the price. So that Wolves were going to sell Cunha, Bournemouth were going to sell Semenyo. They just put a release clause in to get the price they wanted. So these were like deals that they definitely got done. To go back to Sangare, for people that just tuned in, Man United potentially make an offer for Sangare. For people that don't know about Sangare, good in double pivot. His positional awareness is great. He's very mobile, very athletic. Passing very good as well. Crossfield diagonal passes, something he's very good at. And one of the things that people did mention as well, a few goals is scored as well. So a few goals and assists as well. And there's a lot of profiles on him online. A lot of people looking at this. He won, I think, the Mark Vivian Foe Award as League One's best African player last season. You got Hakimi in that league. You got some competition from Kamara as well, so he did very well. And the things that stand out about him is kind of similar to Edison, that you got physical, technical skill set, high intensity. And I think if you're looking at is he suited to the intense Premier League football environment, then he probably is. Like he's probably one of these players that would be absolutely fine. This one, I saw a question: would I take Angela Stiller? I think Angela Stiller looks really good, actually. Maybe defensively not so good, but I think attack wise would be a good player. I think Angela Stiller. It all depends on the price, doesn't it? It all depends on we don't know what the price is going to be. That when Angela Stiller was first kind of on the radar, we talked about a 35 million pound release clause. Now it's looking like 50 to 60. It's also looking like Real Madrid are, I think Real Madrid are in the background, aren't they, hovering? And if it might be Real Madrid bound, it might be that that's what's happening. And would I take Stiller, Sangari, and Edison as our midfield trio? To be honest, that feels a bit. Yeah, I think individually, right? Individually, I think they're good players. But if you're going to sign three players, I'm not sure whether signing three players that have never played in the Premier League is a good thing. No, I think United need to because you're looking at then you've got one player in the German league, one player from the French league, and you've got one player from the Italian league. They're all going to move to the Premier League. For me, that doesn't sound like hit the ground running, does it? So individually, no problem with the deals at all. But I think all those deals in one window would be. I don't think it would be the most sensible thing to do. That um, just a question for like Danny being nobody else. Like, how much would you reckon he's going to cost? Because we've seen this story so many times, haven't we? People talk about Sangare, go right. We're going to get a good deal. He's going to cost about 40 million euros, maybe 50 million euros. Is this price going to go up? Are we going to see? I've seen this story before. I've seen like a cheap price, and Man United are interested. Are we going to see a bit of Man United tax applied to this? A bit of extra sauce on this deal. I think we're going to see if we thought we can get 40 million euros. I would not be surprised if we start talking 50 to 60 million euros. That it's a bit of a bit of a. Do you know what I mean? As soon as like you make the thumbnail, it's like an extra 5 million, and it feels like if I cover the story tomorrow, is it going to be like 50 million, 55 million? And who else is interested? Like, I mean, we've all talked about Sangari. Like a lot of us talked about Sangari for months, like if not over a year. And so my question is going to be: is Man United is not going to be the only team at the table, is it? If Man United are seriously interested, and again, I'm not sure if the interest is as much as being reported. If we are interested, though, PSG is going to be interested for sure. Like PSG is not going to be looking at the French league thinking, I mean, they won the league, but Sangare was definitely one of the best players that didn't play for their team. They will be looking at him for sure. If they're not, they should be. And there'll be other top teams in Europe that will be looking at Sangare thinking he could definitely fit into our team. There'll be loads of Serie A teams where I think Sangare walks in and improves their team. So I think that in terms of this option, that's going to push the price up. I don't think Serie A can push the price up, but I think there might be other other Premier League teams, like mid-table Premier League teams with a budget, might be looking at, we can get this player in, and maybe they can afford to spend like 50, 60 million pounds on a player. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Like, could Bournemouth be looking at someone like this if they sold Alex Scott for 80? I wouldn't rule it out. I would say that a few teams with Premier League money might be looking at potentially an option like this, that he's a good player. So 65 million euros. So I'll have to guess. So exchange rate, you're looking at what, 55 million pounds? So when I saw the price of about 40 to 50 million euros, I was thinking Edison probably cost a little bit more than I was expecting because he's in the final year of his contract. I'm thinking like 50, well, I'm thinking like maybe 55 to 60 million euros, maybe 50 million pounds, that sort of price, like Fred money. I think Fred was about that. So that's obviously that's a guess, but maybe there's gonna be some add-ons as well. There could be some add-ons. So we always get charged more, says Gaz. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for putting the exchange rate. I usually like try and reduce it by about 20% in my mind and go like, so 65 million euros, 56 million pounds, says United I die. Maybe it's gonna be something like that. maybe maybe it's gonna be 50 million pounds plus add-ons. Like you get 50 million pounds guaranteed, and then maybe we can have 10 million euros add-ons, something like that as well. Yeah, no. If you wait enough time, if you like a player, just wait. If you wait long enough, Man United will be linked to them. It's pretty much say it's my fault. How is it my fault? How is it my fault? Blame Ben Jacobs if you're going to blame anyone. Ben Jacobs said that Anderson was available for 80 million pounds in January. Somebody posted that earlier. Like, where did he get that information from? Because I don't think that was ever the case as well. No, it's not my fault that transfers so much. The only thing I can think of is if transfers are costing so much, can we get good money for Agati and Xerxes? I mean, transfers are costing more, aren't they? Like, can we squeeze a bit more out of teams? I'm hoping. This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Agati has a good World Cup, like international football. Let's hope Agati does well, and we can get a bit more. And so whoever, yeah, one thing I've read recently is well, actually, no, Danny B. In terms of scouting, I know a couple of people that have been guests on this channel recently, and there's been a couple of people I've spoken to that have gone through academies themselves. There's a few people that actually know a lot of scouts, and one of the things they were saying is that a lot of, let's say, not just the data team, but a lot of football scouts are self-employed and they do freelance scouting work. And so the data Man United have got is probably going to be the same as every other top Premier League team on some of these players. So these will be scouted by obviously like professionals, and then that information will be available to all football teams. So a lot of freelance scouts. It's not just Man United scouts or Man City scouts. It will be individuals that scout for themselves, sell the information to football clubs, and that's why every club's going to have the same information. The only difference is going to be that Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, we're going to have slightly different priorities in what do we want from a player, how much are we prepared to spend on certain players, and there's going to be a lot of players obviously moving clubs, so you just have to make a decision what suits your club. So United are going to have their strategy. We're going to see other clubs with their strategy. I think the good thing is that whatever people think on the quality of the players, the good thing is we're starting to look at that age range. If you used to watch Red Devil United a few years ago when that channel was going, and we were talking about this a couple of years ago, I was saying that you've got to get players in that are like 22, 23. you have to sign players at that age because that's what sensible clubs do. You sign players in as they're on the way up, and then you've got two options. One, they develop into a top player. You keep that player for a decade, or worst case scenario, the player doesn't develop as much as you want. The salary is quite low. The transfer fee wasn't particularly high, and then you can sell that player on. And maybe you can make a profit, maybe you break even, but you don't lose lots of money, and then you repeat the process. Like Man United should be doing these sort of deals every single season, and you've got to start somewhere. And maybe this is what we're looking at. We got this one. Yeah, exactly. At some point, every player is going to be worth 100 million, so we may as well start buying younger players and then start. If anything, if Man United start doing more of these deals, and we see, more of the other deals are being done, then what we could be looking at is some of the clubs like Brighton and Bournemouth. They're going to struggle to keep doing the sort of deals they've been doing, where they've been flipping players for huge profits. So United Strand says it feels like 23 is the magic number for Ineos. I think what you're looking at is, depending on the age of the player, then it might be. I think teams are looking for like 1 to 2 years top flight experience, where that player's shown that he can be good for a season. And when you're looking like this one, if you're looking at this and saying like it could be a 21-year-old, like Boadi's only 18, isn't he? But it feels a bit like Man United are looking for that player that's had 1 to 2 years top flight experience, looks like they've got loads of potential. Then you try and get them in for like say 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 23. Once you start getting to mid 20s, I think people start being less interested because they probably move to a big club by that point in time, and they're probably going to cost a fortune. So this is the one way, isn't it, of getting the salary down, getting the squad rebuilt, and I think it's a good thing. Like United Strand, I think it's definitely a good thing. Big up to you, Bilal, your channel legend, and now big up to Luke who got a gifted membership. Now, thank you for watching, Luke. I appreciate that. And if Luke, for people that are watching, if you're not subscribed to the channel, it's completely free to subscribe. It just helps us like grow our channel a little bit more. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, um, there's no cost to subscribe, and it just means that occasionally YouTube might recommend our content. But welcome to the community if you are a new viewer. And again, big thanks to Bilal for the gifted membership. Really appreciate Bilal. You know, we I say that everybody that's watching, you're valued. Channel members and people supporting the channel, it's really appreciated. It is a good community, and it's something that it's kind of difficult to grow the community, but we appreciate the support. And hopefully the streams are informative, but hopefully people actually enjoy the community and the interactions as well, because that's kind of what we're here for. And just a little bit of an update as well. There will be a couple of channels I might be working with a little bit more in the future, so you might see me pushing forward my Man United positive propaganda in a couple of different spaces on YouTube as well. So hopefully that'll be something to look forward to. So I'm going to go for a few comments as well. Like I said, comments and questions always welcome. Even if you think I'm talking nonsense, then get that in as well. So United, I actually I had a conversation with JB as we finished the stream last night on his channel, and I said that I'd read that Darlow was linked to Man United and also Sam Johnson. I think Man United are just looking for a competent backup. When I saw this, I think that if you put two and two together, I think we need to look at it and say Vitek's probably going to go somewhere else, and maybe Vitek's going to go on loan, maybe Vitek's going to get sold. But I think we're going to see, a different goalkeeper as a backup goalkeeper next season. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Let's say Big Dog says Ineos is not serious about winning major trophies, so it's all about Champions League money every season. Do you know what's the frustrating thing, Big Dog, is that you got a point, right? And again, until Man United start lifting the big trophies, then I think we're going to be, definitely not very happy with this situation. It's just that if Man United want to make money, then it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Scott, the channel, we had a channel last year, and there was a problem with YouTube. We got to 10,000K, and then YouTube found some issue. I don't know what it was, and we had to restart. So we'll get there. And no, your support, Scott, is appreciated. Joining Goldbridge, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think Goldbridge would know we exist, to be honest. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So no, I appreciate. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. And for people that don't know, I have got a secret map where I had like a community map. I need to bring it back, and it's something maybe next week. Yeah. No, exactly, Gaz. Exactly. And there was no reason. I kind of argued with YouTube for a couple of months and had to restart. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Every few days, somebody finds the channel back. Now, Marks, you've seen the channel map, haven't you? It's basically a global map of the world, and there's a pin in it for every single viewer of this channel. And because I had it for Red Devil United, I just need to go back and like edit it and make it applicable to this one. So, no, it's basically like a community map because I think what was cool about the community is obviously I'm based in the UK and there's people based across the world. And what I did is like there's people like which I think like Gregory's based in Canada. We got Jim, who's based in the UK as well. We've got other people based in the UK, and we've got a lot of people based in Helgi's based in Norway. We've got Jeff based in the USA. We've got Mo in the USA. So people that watch this channel, we cover most continents. We've got Dora in Croatia, and we've got actually there's a couple of people in Australia that my mind I always forget which places in, but no, I think so one people in Australia. So there's a lot of people around the world that do watch. That's no, I think it's quite good to illustrate how big the community is across like the world map. Genghis says, "How much is Vitek worth?" That's a tough one, really, really tough one. I think Vitek. I don't know. In terms of this one, how much would it be worth? Like Vitek, how much is it worth? I think with Vitek, I think Vitek is. Um, what am I thinking? I don't know. This is a very difficult question. How much is Vitek worth? I think with Vitek, the value for Vitek is probably going to be where he is in a couple of years' time. I think United should get a significant sell-on clause and maybe a buyback clause in that deal. So I don't know how much we can sell him for. Is the honest answer? I have no idea how much a young goalkeeper is going to be on the open market. But I would say, I would honestly say, go for you got to go for at least get like I don't honestly I'm guessing here. I'm just guessing like 25 30 25 30 sounds quite high because there were so many goalkeepers on the market last season for 20 million. I just thought, no, we can't do that. So maybe we could sell him for like 10, maybe like 15, 20, but put a significant sell-on clause in possibly. I don't know, and a buyback clause. I'll big up to you, big dog. I'm originally from Wales. And big up to you, Scott. I think Danny B's also from Ireland, but now living in near Boston, I believe. 2 questions for me. Would I pay 125 fixed fee for Anderson? Um, would I pay 85 for Fernandez? To be honest, if I was Manchester United, I probably would be doing some of these deals because I'd be looking at Man United like, okay, I'm not Ineos. If I was looking at Man United, I would pay 125 million for Anderson. I would pay 85 for Fernandez and go, right, that's our midfield done. Our midfield sorted for 10 years. And our midfield's going to be one of the best in the Premier League. And we're going to be trying to win the Premier League every single season. Because I think if you look at it, for me, those two deals is crazy money. It is crazy money. But then you've got the best midfield in the Premier League, haven't you? Or potentially you've got the best midfield in the Premier League at some point. Can you imagine having Fernandez plus Anderson with Bruno Fernandez in front of those two players? It would be ridiculous. So I would do, but I don't think Ineos will do that deal. And I would say, okay, you're going to have to borrow a lot of money in the short term, but you're going to be getting Champions League money every single season. Like for me, I'd invest heavily. And I think if you're looking at these the players, yeah, maybe we're not going to do this as well. I'd say Trafford went for 25. Actually, that's a good one. Like Trafford did go for 25, and he's like, yeah, Trafford went for 25 after a good season in the Championship. People that watch Bristol City, and I know one of my guests, his brother's a season ticket holder at Ashton Gate, watches Bristol City every week. He said the guy is amazing. He's going to be an international goalkeeper in 12 months' time if he moves to a proper club. So, not well, what I mean is like move to like a Premier League club or a higher profile club. So I think he's going to be gone from Bristol City. He's too good to stay in the Championship. He's just he's too ambitious to be a backup, isn't he? So I think it might be that we see him gone, and that's why we're looking at other options as well. So yeah, big up to the guys in Manchester as well. There's a few people watching from Manchester as well. Is it Scott? You're in Manchester. Yeah, big up to you. Yeah, there's a lot of UK based at the moment. This channel is mainly UK based, but a year ago it was very much there was a lot of people watching from South Africa, from Ghana, Nigeria. There's a lot of people, yeah, a lot of African Man United fans. There's a slightly bigger community. So bad move if you agree to pay. Is it a bad move, Cody? I don't know. You asked me the question. Would I buy Anderson? I can't backtrack and say I wouldn't buy Anderson. Of course I'd buy Anderson. It'd be ridiculously expensive, but I want the best players in Man United. So I would see Anderson and Matheus Fernandes as like getting in like top quality position. Oh, just outside Stoke. Okay, that's not far from Alton Towers. I'll big up to you, Genghis. I need to get the map back because, like Mongolia, I didn't know you were from Mongolia, Genghis. That's going to be definitely a new pin in the map for sure. Now, a lot of I did go on like a quite big Spurs channel about a year ago, and they thought I was from Surrey because of my accent. I've never been to Surrey, but I don't know. I just moved down south for work reasons. So Man United set to cash in on Vitek this summer, expected to continue his career elsewhere, says Yali. I think that's to be expected, isn't it? Maybe that could be something where, maybe that's going to be an extra bit of money in, and yeah, maybe add on that as well. Say United Sladai, big up to you as well. Big up to you, Neil. Good to see you in the chat. No, I've been to Stockport. You're from Manchester. Oh, come on, Genghis. What are you doing? I'm going to have to remove that pin out of Mongolia now. I was thinking, how have we got a fan in Mongolia? No, I used to live in the north. I used to live in Sheffield. That's why I've seen a few games at Hillsborough regarding like so those are the away games I've been to for Man United. I don't know. You're making me laugh. Yeah, most people seem to move. Like most people I know have like moved to the area I'm at, and people just have to move around. I've lived in about four places in the UK, from like Wales, the North, the Midlands, and the South. So I've literally lived in most areas of the UK. I think there's positives and negatives about all areas, isn't there? So you're saying it sets a precedent for clubs to keep milking us. The thing is, this is kind of what I was thinking. If Man United bought Anderson and bought Matheus Fernandes, then we got the first team fixed. The first team's going to be very good, and if Man United can be in a title challenge, we can do all these good deals, can't we? We can do all these good deals as well. Like I don't think Man United should be choosing between building a good first team and getting some squad depth. We need to do both of those things. So for me, it's like I know if I ask the question, people have different views. What would you do, Cody? Before we finish like the stream, what would you do if you're looking at this one? Like, would you say no, it's too expensive? You're lucky Niche fan's not in the chat. He would not be happy with that one. No, I've been to London. It's busy, isn't it? It's like it's too busy. But I think London's somewhere I'd visit London, but I don't know if I could handle living there a bit. I need a bit of peace and quiet sometimes. So 1 month, yeah, Vril said 1 month. And where are you from, Vril? Are you from Croatia? Because I need to get again. I keep threatening. I'll tell you what, guys. Next week, I've got visitors this week, so there'll be fewer streams in the World Cup. Next week, I'll bring the map and we'll do the map at one of these lunchtime streams. So maybe in like a week's time, we'll do a map and we'll get you guys on it. Neil says City bid for Anderson 120 million. So 100. What's this? 100 and 120 plus add-ons. Bloody hell! Is this like a new? I don't know what to say. That's ridiculous. Yeah, don't forget to send your friend a link to the channel. For real. Maybe we could hit 850 then. That'd be good. It's getting a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Getting really ridiculous. So yeah, you'd walk away from Anderson, says Cody. It's getting, to be honest, it's getting to the stage where it feels a bit crazy, doesn't it? But if it's going to be 130, is that the same? Is that the same as the Verts deal last season? And I guess the kind of similar sort of age is crazy. If anyone's got any final questions, guys, then if you're able to, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, we're like one away from 850, so that'd be like a little milestone to get over. So I'll just go through any sort of final comments. I'm going to finish the stream in a couple of minutes. Yeah, one question as well. Does anybody care if the streams are at 1 p.m. or 12 p.m.? Because I'm doing the stream earlier today just because I've got people visiting, so I need. Luckily, the doorbell hasn't rung, but I'm going to head off in a few minutes. Um, so is this a reliable source? Says Pulp 76. So this is like journalists from Paris reporting this. So this is like some French journalists, which does seem to be, as far as I can see, Pulp 76. I will just say I've got no reason to doubt the source at the moment, but the source is quite vague, isn't it? That when you see Man United preparing to make an offer, we see the story about quite a lot of players. So I think today we're having a conversation about whether what does Sangare bring to the table? How much would he be worth? People like him, like people do have been looking at this player for a while. So we're talking about this in terms of a bit of scouting as well, a bit of like what do we like about him. There is a link. Actually, I posted a little highlight reel in the Discord. If you want to get in the Discord, like that's something as well that in the Discord, we got about 81 people now, I think, in this there. So, and for people watching as well, we do like some calling shows. I think the source is like as reliable as I can say at the moment. That they're not saying categorically Man United are, you know, Man United are already, we've made an offer. So they're just saying Man United are thinking of this. United, yeah, big up to you, Jules. He says it suggests we negotiate with the player already. I think we could be looking at like, yeah, Man United won't make if Man United do make an offer, then it means we've spoken to them, doesn't it? So if Man United make an offer, then we will have to, we can make the assumption that they've spoken to him because Man United will not make an offer unless they've spoken to the player. But that's why I think with the Matheus Fernandes deal, I think with Fernandes, we're going to literally hear nothing. Then we're going to either hear. So with this deal with Fernandes, it's going to be quiet, quiet, quiet. Then suddenly it's going to be offer on the table, done deal, we move on, or it's going to be Man United walk away. So either way, I don't think we're going to see much drama and many stories coming out. It's just going to be that sort of story. No, Solly Talks was like I spoke to Solly Talks recently, and Solly Talks said that he would be up for coming on the channel. I need to work out what's a good time to do that because obviously Solly Talks is very knowledgeable, and I have to plan it in advance. So maybe it'll just be I know like a 45-minute show once a week. We can get Study Talks on, and we can like maybe you guys can ask questions. Got Study Talks is like it's got information, pretty knowledgeable. That would be someone that we can. I need to get back in contact with him and see what he says. Big up to you as well, PFCTV. Thank you for getting involved. If we get Fernandes and Scott, would be a great midfield. Yeah, actually, I said that recently. Fernandes and Scott would be my go-to midfield at the moment. If we get Sangare, I would still get Fernandes, and then maybe Scott's not going to happen. But again, I'm kind of open-minded. I would still go at the moment, as things stand. My options would be get Fernandes and Scott to start with. If we got Sangare, I'm still saying right, get Fernandes, and then we'd have to see how Sangare works out in the Premier League. But yeah, Fernandes we know will be good. Alex Scott I think is a bit of an under the radar signing, but maybe a bit too expensive as well. So yeah, I'll let people answer this question, and then I will have to close the stream. Pop 76 says, "What are people's thoughts on 85 million for Fernandes? if Anderson goes through for 125. My initial thought is it's not bad, is it? It's a lot. It's a lot of money, but I think the relatively speaking, I don't know. If it feels like it's too much money, it feels like both of them are too much money. But maybe they're relatively both too much money the same. I think it's manageable, isn't it? It's too much. It's more money than Man United want to spend, but I think this just shows that for Man United and Man City and other clubs in the future, you need to get players in earlier before they start costing that sort of money. Like this is kind of this can't keep happening. Like Man United can't keep spending this sort of money on a single player. And players shouldn't be costing 125 million. It's crazy. I think people respond both overinflated. I think they're both overinflated as well. And yeah, from I think we do need to get a player that's played in the Premier League. Like getting three non-Premier League players for me is not ideal. And both overpriced, so we won't pay near that on either player. I don't think we will pay 85 either. Um if you think like City are prepared to pay 125 for Anderson, I think Manchester United are prepared to pay 70-ish maybe for Matheus Fernandes. And when you consider that, then that's 55 difference, isn't it? That is a lot. I know they're relegated. I know they're relegated, but it's supply and demand, and it's just there's not much you can do. There's not much you can do. I'll say this: do not let Sangare go to Brighton. If I was Man United, I would just buy players linked to Brighton, then sell them to Brighton for 100 million in a year's time. See how Brighton like it. Like stop. We need to stop Brighton doing this sort of thing, and maybe United, Arsenal, Liverpool, maybe these clubs. Every time Brighton's going to buy a player that we know is a good player, we need to get that player first, and then stop Brighton doing this like massive like profiteering out of transfers. That for me would be quite a nice thing to do. But guys, so I'm going to head off. Thank you for watching. There will be a live stream tonight that's going to be World Cup build up and World Cup opening ceremony and opening match. So that's going to be live this early afternoon, actually, early evening, late afternoon. And that's going to be hosted by G Wolf and maybe guests as well. We don't know. But that's something to look out for. The World Cup is kicking off. We're going to try and cover it as much as possible. I'll be taking care of the Man United news and player transfer chat as well. And also, if you click on the pinned link, there's socials there. I've got a TikTok account which I'm doing about one video a day on that. But what I'll try and do is like summarize the leading stories of the day, maybe once a day on that one. And the Discord as well is where we share information. So if you're a football fan and you use Discord, any club you support, please please get in the Discord and share information. I put a little bit of a highlight reel clip of Sangare in the Discord, just for people that have never seen anything at all. And feel free to share information in there. I think most of us are in the Discord, so it's definitely maybe we were overhyping him, Pop. Maybe we were getting involved in that one just to push the price up. Who knows? I did say last night actually as a joke we should be bidding 130 just to make City pay more. It feels a bit like getting your friend on eBay just to push up the price if you're trying to sell something. Like why not? Why not? But big up to you guys. Massive thanks to Bilal for the gift of membership and super chat. Appreciate you, Bilal. And thanks everybody for watching. Please get involved later. Terrible weather down south actually, absolutely hammering it down. But catch you guys later, and we'll see you in the next one. I think about 5 or 6 p.m. tonight is the next stream.